Charleston County Democratic Party officials say their West Ashley office was vandalized earlier this morning. Today, I talk one-on-one with Colleen Condon of the Charleston County Democratic Party for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. Colleen Condon, welcome back to the award-winning Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you, Quintin. Appreciate being with you today.
Oh, I appreciate it anytime. Let me just jump into some obviously developing news, and this is coming from David Bland and obviously Caitlin Blair of the state newspaper, and reads this. Charleston County Democrats showed up to their West Ashley headquarters Saturday morning to find locks on their office doors had been filled with cement and threatening signs that had been posted on the windows. Colleen, let me ask you this. Where are you emotionally hours later?
Frustrated, I think, is probably the best description.
How much more frustrations do you have right now, knowing now what you know before obviously this happened?
Certainly it's we know, of course, we saw the violence and the vandalism and the injuries in D.C. I certainly hoped we wouldn't see such duplicated elsewhere. And let me go back and reread that. Charleston County Democrats showed up to their West Ashley headquarters Saturday morning to find the locks on their office doors had been filled with cement and threatening signs that had been posted on the windows. When you showed up, what were those threatening signs? Well, the signs said "fuck Biden," "fuck Soros," socialists, we're watching you. So it had a variety of messages that they clearly had pre-done and brought over. They were glued 4 signs to our front doors and windows and to our back doors, and liquid cement was poured into the locks and destroyed in an expensive code lock system.
Let me ask you this. When you arrived to the scene as Colleen Condon, the lawyer, what was going through your mind?
Well, I was not there when it was discovered originally this morning. I got there about half an hour later. We were supposed to be having a hand sanitizer event. We've been trying to do everything we can, and we were there to refill sanitizer bottles for teachers and other folks. And we weren't able to host our event because the doors were literally glued shut.
Now, when did you all publicize this particular hand sanitizer event?
Within the last week.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Within the last week, we've been, cautious about, certainly COVID, and then, just knowing the violence recently. We've been under rules for safety that we don't want anybody to be at the office there by themselves, knowing that something could happen.
Yes, ma'am. And now, at the office, do you actually have cameras inside or outside?
We have both.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And I know on Facebook Live video, you said this quote, "We do not appreciate this vandalism. Please know that the violence is the answer." You also said this quote, "We do not blame any official organization for this, but this is going to be taken seriously. We will be pressing charges, that is, if we can determine it." What have you determined thus far?
Well, Charleston Police Department took it very seriously. They're very concerned about whether, any kind of violence could be happening out there and whether this could be duplicated. And CPD sent the crime scene unit, fingerprinted all of it, took both our camera videos, which wasn't clear enough, but between that and the camera videos for some of the businesses around us, we're hoping that they're going to be able to take swift action.
And as a matter of fact, I know Charles Francis emailed the state newspaper, that is, and said this quote, "Some unknown person poured some type of putty over the lock and door handle. No other vandalism occurred to the building, and no one at the location had received any recent threats." Let me ask you this. What else have they found out thus far since the time that they investigated to right now?
They do not yet know who did it, but they had a large team out and were helping us. It was a liquid cement that was, about 2 or 3 inches of it covering all of our locks, and the signs were glued with some sort of glue onto our windows. We spent hours cleaning everything up. these are terrorists, and certainly I'd hope to see people not do such silly vandalism and violence here. I hope this is an isolated event. I'm hoping, we've received, phone calls of concern from Maurice Washington, chair of the Charleston Republican Party, and we'll actually be doing our hand sanitizer event together on Monday. They'll be joining us. I mean, this is something that good people need to condemn violence, call the police when you see such things happening. And I certainly hope the state legislature passes the hate crime law that's being debated this session. It's time for us to take all violence seriously.
And I know you just got a phone call from Maurice Washington, who's the chair of the Charleston County Democratic Party, and the South Carolina Republican Party actually put out this statement, quote, "This kind of behavior is unacceptable, and it's got to stop. Whoever is responsible needs to be held accountable. We all know too well what it feels like to have officers vandalized and threatened. It's scary and invasive." Let me ask you this. What protocols will you have in place now after this particular incident?
It's certainly meant to not just frustrate, but to intimidate. And we aren't going to be intimidated. We're going to continue being active in the community. We have already had in place COVID restrictions, but we're also making sure that we're increasing our camera system, and we'll have some safety protocols in place, ready to include 911 if we need to, and certainly doing most of our work virtual so that there aren't gatherings being announced in the next few days with locations that could attract violence.
Now, I know you all are posting a lot of information related to the Democratic Party on your Facebook and Twitter pages recently. Have you all gotten any social media threats?
Nothing specific in recent times. I mean, there's frustration, but no, we haven't gotten any threats on our social media sites.
And let me ask you a political question that everybody's asking. Why do you believe that people think that this particular crime like this will actually help their particular cause?
Good question. Frustration. I mean, we've seen a lot of people just act out of frustration without necessarily thinking about it when we think about some of the actions of this summer and this month. I'm sure their intent was to scare us. And you know what? President Biden is going to get inaugurated this week regardless. We're moving forward, and we aren't going to be intimidated by someone trying to do so.
I know you want to move forward. How will the Charleston County Democratic Party, in your mind, remain united?
We're going to continue to take action, to be involved in local and national political issues.
Colleen Condon, thank you so much for your time. And again, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you, Quintin. Appreciate your time as always.
You're welcome anytime.